How's everybody doing? Good.
What's the challenge of preparing for a week one matchup, regardless of the opponent or the setting or the primetime game?
Really, when you have a lot of time, you have a lot of thoughts and things like that that come into your head, and different various things you can do within a game plan. So a lot of it is just making sure you fight those things, and you do things that fit within the scheme, make the players comfortable, and not try to do too much. That's usually what happens when you have too much time to prepare.
The Broncos don't necessarily know what you're going to want to do on defense. You don't necessarily know everything they want to do on offense. How much is a game like this about in-game adjustments to what the other team's doing?
It's going to be a lot about that. The familiarity with on both sides and trying to get a feel. So a lot of that's going to come down to that. But there's still things you can still study and pick up on and still have a good feel for going into the game.
Were they pretty vanilla in the preseason on offense?
Yeah. I mean, we were vanilla too. That's the whole deal. You kind of hold your cards and get ready for the big show.
We were talking to Jamal. He was saying he feels like this defense puts him back in his element a little bit. I guess, what can you say about that? I mean, how this defense.
From the very beginning, I talked about being aggressive, and I think anytime in coaching, I'm not just speaking specifically to us, but your number one responsibility is to put your best players in position to be successful. We have some guys on defense along with Jamal that we want to do that with and put them in position to be successful. And so that's been the biggest thing that we tried to make sure we get done. Feel good about it.
Is it fair, accurate to say that he's going to be harder for offenses to pinpoint than he has been in the past?
Again, I've always said I don't like comparing things to the past. I just focus on the here and now. So right now, the objective is to make the quarterback have to work pre-snap and post-snap all the time. Whether that's with Jamal or the other guys on defense, and work on disguises and be multiple. So.
How unique of a player is Jamal for different things he does?
I think he's very unique. I think a lot of some of the criticism maybe that he has gotten in the past to me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I think the guy's a hell of a football player. And he's dynamic in the way he goes about his business and his skill set. His ability in the box, pressuring, and he is good in coverage. Contrary to popular belief, there's things that he does very well when he is in coverage on the back end. So I don't understand where some of that stuff comes from. I think the guy's a hell of a player. His teammates believe he's a hell of a player, and I'm happy as hell we got him.
What specifically is the challenge defending Wilson?
Obviously just with Russ, great competitor, great talent, great player, as we all know. Just the biggest thing is obviously just the discipline that you have to be able to play with when you go against a guy, that is mobile and active in the pocket and whatnot. And obviously, great throwing the ball vertically down the field. So there's a lot of challenges, but you have to play disciplined, consistent football for 60 minutes.
In addition to Puna and Artie, were there any other guys on this team that you and Charlie tried to get at Louisville?
Trying to sit here and think that I can openly remember besides Artie and Puna. No, nothing that jumps off the top of my head. That was a random question.
What do you think the identity of your defense is going to be this year?
High energy, physical, a lot of energy and aggressive. So that's what I want to see when I put on the tape. Guys that are flying to the football, physical, hard hitting, smart, disciplined. I can put all those adjectives in there.
I talk so much about Russ, but what about the other offensive weapons that Denver has? If you're looking at Melvin, Gordon, and Cortland, Sutton, how closely do you think they'll resemble what they did last year?
Not as schematically, they're going to be different than what they were. Javonte Williams, the running back, is a hell of a football player. He's one of the best backs in the league, in my opinion, just watching him play. Really impressive. And obviously, Melvin Gordon's got a very decorated career, so we have a high level of respect for him as well. I'm familiar with the receivers with Judy and Sutton, but obviously with Javonte Williams, he's got definitely has my attention as somebody we have to make sure we take care of. The whole goal is you want to try to make teams one-dimensional, so he's definitely a factor.
What do you see in Dunn, Isaiah Dunn, the new corner?
He's done a really nice job so far. Coming from the point of the draft, and then obviously after, you had the cut downs on the roster and the guys we were able to add on here with practice squad and filling out the rest of the roster, John and his staff has done an unbelievable job with the guys we've been able to bring on with Dunn, and it's been really impressive. With Bam Johnson, getting him on here too. The guys have done a really nice job, so really like where the roster and the guys are going. Got the right people in here besides just right talent too. It's the character makes a lot of that, and they're really impressive people.
How do you feel in general about where the quarterback spot is? Seems like there's been some moving parts there, maybe with the guys being injured and things like that.
it's been about competition from day one. So the whole thing is it's been really tight in the competition with that group from the get-go, and so it may feel like musical chairs, but we feel really good about the depth and where those guys have come. Carl Scott has done an unbelievable job with them, so I feel good where it is. Obviously, we want to get everybody back healthy, but I feel good with whoever we have out there. We'll be confident in that.
With Dunn, how tough is it to, at that position to come right in and try to merge into traffic?
Yeah, I mean, there's some nuances to the position and learning the system and the scheme and whatnot, but he's a quick study. He's shown to be really good with that so far. And again, meeting with K. Scott and with Doc, so I have confidence he'll get up to speed at some point.
And with a lot of your younger guys too, I mean, some of them maybe they didn't play with Russell Wilson, they weren't here for the Legion of Boom days. So for your rookies, I guess in particular, what have you heard from them about they're making their debut Monday Night Football against Russell Wilson? What do you think they're feeling like this from them?
We're not making the game about Russell. We're not playing Russell. I mean, he's part of their team, but we're playing the Broncos. So there's a full complement of people that we have to address and account for when we're playing them. And we know Russell's a great player. We're not taking anything away from that, but we're playing the Broncos, so we're never going to make it about one in particular person. It's going to be about their team and who they have and their strengths and what we need to do in order to go win the football game. So we've never made it about Russ.
I guess the stage that they're on, and I guess just the hype of the game. What do you think it's like for them?
It's maybe hard for some people to do, but again, it's one game at a time. So first game out the box. I understand it's all Monday Night Football and whatnot, but we try to make the game bigger than really what it is. You never know how guys are going to respond to that. So I would say they've all been very even-keeled to answer your question. No one has acted any differently than what they acted in the spring and April or May or since we got back here in fall camp. So the focus level, attention to detail, and there's been no sense of nerve. So I'm happy. I'm pleased with where they're at mentally.
Clint, do you remember a time during the offseason program when you, as a staff, realized Tariq was picking things up as quickly as he was, that he could make as much of an early impact as he might have?
It doesn't take very long. You figure out after maybe a week or so of meetings how quickly a guy football makes sense. How quick a study of that guy might be, or is he a high rep player? He picked up things really fast. It made sense to him. And I think it goes back, anytime a guy's played on the offensive side of the football and they come over to the defense, and I think having that knowledge of receivers and their stems and pad level and their splits and things like that, that helps you when you go to the other side of the football. And I think that's really helped him out. It was a surprise because you come in with the idea, okay, this kid is really, really raw. He's only played the position for 2 years and he's going to take some time, but he's done an excellent job, and really surprised all of us. But I like the maturation even as he's continued to grow and develop as a player. You see his focus level, and now just seeing like the little things in his game continue to progress. It's been exciting.
You talk about the aggressiveness the defense is going to play with, confusing quarterbacks. What kind of impact can the 12s have on Monday and kind of adding to that?
The 12s are everything, but we have to do our part in order to keep that excitement going too. That's also the other side, but the 12s are everything. When we have a chance to come into that stadium and go play, and the noise, the energy that they bring, the opponent obviously not being able to hear and make their checks and audibles and having issues at the line of scrimmage with cadence and whatnot, or silent counts for that matter, that's everything. But to me, it's our job to create that excitement, and then when they bring it from play one, we got to keep that building, So that's our responsibility as well. But I can't wait to get out there in front of them.
You've been around Elwoods for a little bit, been a position coach. To see guys have that long career, been a bunch of places, see him get recognized as captain. That's cool to see.
It feels really good to see that happen for him. He is a man's man. Like, he is. When you talk about somebody that just has their personal life together, what he is as a husband, as a father, how he takes care of his body as a pro, his practice habits, study habits, what he does for the young people. A lot of times you get veteran guys that kind of stay an island unto themselves. He brings all the young guys in and really just tries to help those guys grow. And a lot of our veteran players do that, but with him, it doesn't matter if they're a D lineman, an offensive lineman, a DB, a wide receiver. This guy's a stud. And we're lucky to have him. And as you can see, I love the guy, as a person, and so happy that he was awarded with this. Because even though he may not have had the title, the guys they've looked at him in that kind of manner.
But Pete said he was almost glad that the first series in Pittsburgh happened for Tariq, that he had something to bounce back from, and had, the response he's had from that he thought was really positive too. How have you kind of seen him handle that moment, to have that early little struggle period, and what he's put out there for you since?
It's been really good. You find out things early. Sometimes the the best experiences you get is when you do fail, you know. And so you make a mistake or things along that nature, and to see him rebound the way that he did, you worry if a guy hangs his head and then he can't get out of the funk and rebound from that. That never was the case. Learn from the mistake, he moved right on to the next play, and he's never looked back. So I commend him for that, but that's a big deal for young guys. You got to understand mistakes are going to happen, whether you're a rookie, and it could happen to a guy when you're 8, 9 years into the league. You know, things are going to happen. You got to be able to move on to the next down and not dwell. You got to have amnesia.
What kind of impact can Shelby Harris have on this defense?
Really good, incredibly smart football player, great communicator. You know, with the guys and the things that he sees when he's out there on the football field. Really good instincts. So he's been, again, another guy happy to have, another veteran guy in that defensive line room. And he adds a lot, and he helps out the linebackers too with the things that he sees on the field, so they can trust and listen to his expertise. So he's going to be a valuable asset to us on all downs, first, second, and third.
What wisdom, if any at all, has Sherm shared with your defense at the time he's been here?
You know, I don't walk up. Listen, here's the thing. Sherm has a ton of wisdom. I don't need to be there to listen to everything he has to say. I just know I'm really happy that he's around. It's great to see him and all of our former players, whether it's Sherm or KJ, Cam. Those guys are legends here, and they're legendary people besides players, so I love having them around. I haven't been able to hear word for word what he's had to say, but any bit of information he has on his experience playing the game is obviously welcomed.
What stood out to you about the preseason Michael Jackson had?
Man, competitive nature. You know, Mike Jack is somebody, he's really quiet, so you know sometimes you can forget that he's even in the room, but his ability to bring it to work every single day, taking the information in meetings and walkthrough, taking it to the practice field. And the thing that makes you so confident and happy for him is he's going against DK and Tyler every single day in practice. If you can compete with those guys and challenge with those guys, then you can cover anybody in the league. And he did that every single day, so he should go into any game with a high level of confidence in himself. And because he's done that, obviously we have a high level of confidence in him. So really happy for him. Guys like he and Miles Adams, to me, they exemplify what it is when you work every single day and you just keep staying at it, keep chopping at it every single day. Great things are going to happen for you.
How much has Carl Scott's background, if at all, contributed to helping teach the guys how you guys want to fit the run on the split safety stuff?
Yeah, it's kind of been all around. You know, having to do that. All of us have experience with fitting the run game and split safety defenses. But K. Scott's been really great with that, with the safeties and the corners as well. So it's been really good. K. Scott's done a great job of developing our young guys in the back end.
You a fan of the green jerseys?
You know, it's cool. You know, I'm fine with it as long as I don't have to wear it. The bright colors are not for me. I'll use the trim. That's about it.
Clint, are you going to take a minute to reflect on this is your first NFL game as a defensive coordinator, or personal moment about that?
You know what? I haven't spent any time at all thinking about it. My focus has been to make sure I have a plan and do everything where I can make sure these players they're prepared to the best of their ability. I haven't thought about that whatsoever. Just focus on doing the very best job I can for them. I don't worry about the other stuff.
Is there anything you've taken away from the 3 preseason games and having that run through the exhibition season here to get ready for this for you?
Yeah, just the game day mechanics, the communication in the booth, you know, things of that nature is really I wanted to pay attention to and be on the same page with the staff. Those things floated along really, really well. And again, knowing that we stayed really vanilla in the preseason competitively, you know, I'm chewing my fingers and everything else and biting the inside of my cheek because sometimes you don't like the things that's going on and you want to do some other things to change it up, but you just want to kind of stay the course. That was the hard part for me, I would say, going through the preseason. You know, so it's not, don't go off the deep end because you know you don't really have all your ammunition there ready for you in the game, but I'm looking forward to Monday.
Does the fact that most of Al's job is the dirty work, doesn't come a lot of stats, contribute to how guys feel about him?
Absolutely, because it's a selfless, thankless job. But the guys that know they have a lot of success playing behind him, they know how valuable he is. His job is to take up 2 grown men, all right, 600 some odd pounds between them, and control 2 gaps. So the guys that play behind him can make tackles and not have to deal with blockers and address blockers. And he'll do that every single time he's out there. Never complain, doesn't want any credit. As long as it helps us win, that's all what he's about. So the definition of unselfishness.
Coordinator, booth or field or whatever. What do you like doing there in terms of calling the game?
You know, in terms like I'm comfortable being down on the field. I've gotten used to. I got 2 young kids, so I'm really good at like blocking out and tuning out noise, having selective hearing, and so it works out fine. You know, I'm sure it's a lot more relaxed upstairs in the box, but I also like to be down there and have the feel of what's going on, the energy of the players, and getting feedback from those guys as well during the course of it. So I'm good either way.
So wait, which one are you doing?
I'll be, well, you're asking where I'm going to be at? I don't know if I should answer that question. I'm not trying to be a jerk about that either. I'll hold that under my hat for right now. I apologize if you don't like the answer.
It's all right.
Anything else?
Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate you guys. Take care.